Every year, music is important for most artists. They could be making music or releasing music, and obviously the great music involved with each year should be recognized in some way, right? And obviously the Grammys are important and significant in a certain way. Someone makes good art and they acknowledge it, but is the Grammys just a popularity contest rather than recognizing music that people actually enjoy? Today I'm going to be going through the Grammys history of making the world mad and letting albums that not everyone entirely likes win Album of the Year. If you have been living under a rock for the past decade, then you wouldn't know what the Grammys are. The Grammys are basically an awards show for music. Best music for that specific category wins the category, and most people get outraged with who's nominated and who's actually winning. Some may be rightfully upset, but some may actually be good picks to win. Again, most of these are just plain subjective opinions for most people, but is it really just a popularity contest? Now, if we want to go deep into the Grammys, then we have to go back when people first started disliking what the Grammys picks were for certain categories. And disclaimer, I'm going to be picking the popular disliked categories that people didn't like, so if you guys have any other picks that you guys dislike, please leave in the comments that I missed, and yeah, let's get into this one. It's 2012, and Kendrick Lamar released his first album, Good Kid Mad City, and people thought that Kendrick was one-of-a-kind talent. After his first mixtape released on Spotify being produced by Dr. Dre, I can see why people would think that Kendrick would be a generational talent in the future. After Kendrick got nominated for Best Rap Album category, I think most people in 2012 would have figured that he had it in the bag. But that wasn't the case. Macklemore made an album that year as well, having it being named The Heist, and that won Best Album award. People were furious with this decision, having it being placed as the second most controversial win in Grammy history. But what does this mean? Was The Heist actually better than Kendrick's record? Was the fact that The Heist was just more popular than Good Kid Mad City that year just made it win overall? Well, in hindsight, the better opinion, it's not in the slightest. The Heist is not as good as Good Kid Mad City. The public eye disagreed with this opinion entirely, and Macklemore ended up actually apologizing to Kendrick, saying that he deserved to win. But this isn't the only Grammy outrage that everyone disagreed with. Kanye West began releasing his work to the public in 2004 with his album The College Dropout, which actually ended up winning a Grammy, which was actually well deserved considering that MF Doom also released 2 albums that year being considered his best albums. But what about Best New Artist? Kanye deserved to win that record since he won a Grammy for his first album, right? Well, according to the Grammys, that's not the case. Maroon 5 won Best New Artist instead of Kanye, and I think most people would agree that Maroon 5 ended up having more mainstream success and that Kanye had more controversial success heading down the line. But what does this mean? Does this mean that Maroon 5 is better? To the public eye, Kanye deserved to win this record, but what does this actually mean in terms of the Grammys' history? After looking at some of the biggest snubs in Grammy history, I think we can find a pretty good puzzle to piece here. When The Heist won against Kendrick, The Heist had more popularity and streams compared to Good Kid Mad City. And Maroon 5 also had more success compared to Kanye's first breakout album, The College Dropout. So what's the point here? Most people would agree when others say that the Grammys is a popularity contest. If you look at last year's nominees, you can tell that most of these artists have had numerous success in 2022 when other albums such as The Forever Story by JID or Melt My Eyes See Your Future by Denzel Curry should have gotten nominated at the very least. Instead, they like to pick pop singers that get billions of streams other than actually acknowledging the great music that underground artists make that stay hidden from the mainstream world. And a comment that best sums this up is, why do people hate the Grammys so much? Because it's essentially a great advertisement for the mainstream record industry that ignores truly innovative and talented acts in favor of boring, irrelevant bullshit that is actually really out of touch with the actual musical culture that we are in. These pop singers don't really appeal to the Grammys audience, and most believe that the Grammys is just one big giant advertisement for the mainstream world. But who knows, maybe they will actually stop and realize that underground music can make better music than the mainstream music.